Okay, so at the end of this session, you should be able to calculate present value, determine the price of a bond, and calculate the common equity, the cost of common equity of a individual company. All right, so first things first, we're going to start with Unit 3, and this is question 1 from your Unit 3 assignments. All right, so calculate the present value of cash inflow of 500 in 1 year and cash inflow of 1,000 in 5 years, assuming a discount rate of 15%. So if you've already started working on your assignments for this week, you probably really recognize this particular problem. So I'm going to pause for a quick second and allow you to, kind of come up with what you have, and then I'll come back and help you solve this problem. All right, so how you doing over there?
Oh, I already have some of them already done.
Oh, all right, perfect. Okay, I guess I can go ahead. All right, so for this particular problem, it's pretty much a lot of calculation that will be done right through Excel, so it's not too much that you have to do. So ultimately, first you want to figure out, the first part of the problem is what's the discount rate. You'll find that the answer for this problem is 434.78. You pretty much find that, just plugging it right into Excel, and it can, pretty much do all the work for you. And then followed by, with 5 years, you're essentially just going to use an exponent for the exact same discount rate, and then you'll find that value is 497.18. So the present value sum, which is ultimately the answer that you're going to want to get here, you essentially just add those two numbers together. And that's when you get $931.96. All right, does that look familiar to you?
Yeah, well, I actually got 497 and 26 cents on the last one. I don't know where I got a little bit of different calculation. I actually did mine I'm old school. So I do a lot of stuff by hand first before I put it in Excel, just because for me, it's kind of like I have to, because Excel for me is a little bit shaky ground. So for me, I kind of want to do it by hand and old school to see if I can, I guess, do it, and then I'll go put it in Excel. So I had $497.26 by doing it with my, like I had a calculus calculator. So I was a little off.
Yeah, that's fine. I typically don't go that granular to to those fine decimal places. So long as your present value sum is right around that ballpark, I'll know that you at least that you understand exactly what you're doing.
Okay.
All right. So now we can move on to question 3 from your assignments. What is the present value of a perpetual stream of annual cash flows of $100 with a first cash flow to be received in 1 year, assuming a discount rate of 8%? So once again, I'll pause for a quick second, and I'll come back and help answer this one. All right, let's go ahead and do this one. It's not really too much information here, but ultimately you want to kind of just make sure you're pulling out what we already know. We do know that the cash flow is 100, and then we also know that the discount rate is 8%. All we need to do is take that 100 divided by the 8%, and that will give us the present value of a perpetual stream of annual cash flows. All right. How you doing out there?
Yeah. I got 1,200, so I was a little off again by doing my calculations. A little off.
Okay. Like I said, as long as you got the the gist of kind of how to get these. And like I said, I'm not too picky with it. All right, on to question 4. What is the present value of a perpetual stream of annual cash flows with the first cash flow of $100 to be received in 1 year and all subsequent cash flows growing at a rate of 3%, assuming a discount rate of 8%? All right, so this one's pretty similar to the previous one. The only real difference is that we're going to add that 3% growth rate in there as well. So once again, we see that our cash flow is 100. We know that our growth rate is 3%, and we know that our discount rate is 8%. Essentially, all you're going to want to do is pretty much the exact same formula as before. The difference is that you're going to subtract that 3% growth rate from that from your discount rate, and now you're going to end up with a number of present value of 2,000.
Yeah, I got that one.
All right, sounds good. All right, moving right along. Question 5. Consider 2 bonds, Bond A and Bond B. both with a coupon rate of 10% and a yield to maturity of 10%. These are standard bonds with a semi-annual coupon payment. The bond A matures in 5 years and bond B matures in 10 years. What would be the price of each of these bonds?
This is where I got totally lost.
Okay. Yeah, this one's actually this one's pretty tough to do without using Excel.
Just even reading it and trying to figure out any of it. It was just, because the coupon rate and then the yield rate of maturity, it kind of confused me.
Okay.
That's where I kind of got.
Yeah, this is one of those problems that they give you a lot more information than you really actually need to solve it. So in a second, I'll just go over the information for this particular problem, what you'll actually need. All right, so a couple of things. The information right here is what you're actually going to need to solve this problem. So there's a number of things within the problem that you don't really need. One of which is that yield to maturity. It's not really a number that we need right now. So what you're really going to be looking at is that coupon rate. So the I number that you see there for both lines is that coupon, because in the problem it tells us that it's semi-annually, so that means it's going to pay 5% twice a year. So that'll add up to the 10% you're going to get. The N for both of these is the number of years. So we do know that that's, actually, I'm sorry, the N is the number of payments that you're actually going to use to compute this. So we know that bond A is 5 years. If there's 2 payments, that means it's 10. And then we also know bond B matures in 10 years. So the number of payments is going to be 20. We know that the payment amount is going to be 50 on both of those, because we know that the coupon rate is 10%. We know that bonds always mature. Bonds always cost $1,000. So if their payments each time is going to be half of that 10%, is going to be $50. So we know the payments are going to be the same. And then we also know that the future value of a bond is always going to be $1,000, because bonds always mature at $1,000.
Right. That was in the book.
All right. So you got that so far?
Right.
Okay. Got it. All right. So essentially, once you plug these numbers into Excel, this is what you end up getting. What did you get when you did it?
I didn't get anything because I couldn't figure out. What really held me up was the yield to maturity of 10%. I couldn't figure out where that needed to go. I was like,
yeah.
I don't know, where is that? And then when I tried to research that online, I tried to figure that out in the book, and I asked a couple of my friends that they're in an accounting class. One's doing HR in South Carolina, and one's I'm not sure what they're taking, but they're in an accounting class, and I'm like, what the heck? and I read the problem to them, and they're like, then last night we were trying to figure it out for like 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, I can't take this no more. They couldn't understand it either. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'll try and figure it out tonight. And then I was like, well, we've got a direct instruction tonight. I'm just going to ask and be like, okay, where is this supposed to be in here? Because I just couldn't figure it out.
I'm glad I covered this one. So yeah, so that yield maturity, it's one of those. I noticed that with this book, they will typically ask you, or when they're asking questions, they will add a couple extra elements that are not necessarily needed, and it does throw you off. So once you're, I'm pretty sure now that okay, I don't even need that number to figure out what the bonds are worth. You should be fine. Alrighty.
Got it.
All right. So right on to number 6. This is still from Unit 3. Consider the bonds in question 5 and suppose that those interest rates were to decline, causing the yield to maturity for each bond to immediately decline to 9%. What is the new price of each bond? Ultimately, you want to consider the semi-annual yield to maturity. Now this is the one you're actually going to need that yield to maturity.
Well, because it said they go hand in hand, so then the coupon rate would reduce.
Yep, that's pretty much exactly what it is.
So then the coupon rate would reduce to 9%. Because that's what the book said. It said that they pretty much are in sync.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happens. So when you do this, now your I, the biggest difference in this is that your I now is 4.5. Because now you're looking at something now you're looking at it a different way. So now we actually do want to use that yield to maturity. So now that's 9, we have it there. So obviously it's the semi-annual coupon. So now it's half of that. We have our N, we figured that out from the last problem. We have our payment, we figured that out from the last problem, and we also know the future value. So once again, plugging that in through Excel, the prices end up being different this time. Before your prices ended up being exactly the same, $1,000. But in this one, bond A is going to be worth $1,039.56, and bond B is going to be worth $1,065.04. All right.
That I do remember. Because they were in sync. I got that part.
That's good. All right, so now I'm going to move over to Unit 4. And we're going to answer a question from there. All right, so this is about Fastest Company's common shares are currently trading at $30. It is expected that Fastest Company will pay an annual common share dividend of $2 next year. It is also expected that the dividend will grow at a rate of 5% each year in perpetuity. Based on the constant growth dividend discount model, what is Fastest Company cost of common equity? And the really important thing with this problem is that word in perpetuity. All right. Okay, so starting with what we already know, we do know that dividend, that common share dividend is $2. We also know that the shares are currently trading at $30. And we also know that our growth rate is going to be 5%. So this is essentially an equation that came right from the book to help figure out a problem such as this. For the cost of common equity in perpetuity. So it's going to be, what was that?
I was agreeing. Okay, sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, just making sure you haven't played anything. So yeah, so pretty much you just plug your numbers right into there, and you get your answer. Okay. And now we're going to skip ahead a bit to question 15. Suppose fastest company, suppose their current balance sheet showed book value weights of 32% debt, 11% preferred shares, and 57% common equity. Assuming its cost of debt was 3%, the cost of preferred shares was 5%, and the cost of common equity was 9%. Estimate fastest companies WACC based on these book value weights. All right. So we pretty much know most of the information here. We kind of went over the cost of debt and the weight, everything else like that. You essentially just wanted to multiply those numbers out. The 3% by the weight, the 5% by the weight, and the 9% by its weight. You line those up and you add them up, and you get a WACC of 6.64%. Any questions on that one?
No.
All right.
No.
Okay, so that's about all I have for tonight. If there's anything else that you have that you're kind of just scratching your head on, you can feel free to give me a call or email me, and I'd be glad to help work through it with you. And like I said, I may have another one of these next week, depending on how everyone does on their problems this week. But if not, it'll likely be Unit 5 that we do another direct instruction.
I think that I'm going to stop doing them by hand and just start doing them in Excel, because I did like algebra and stuff, and that calculator's not right for accounting.
Yeah, when you use the calculator, a lot of times, depending on the settings that you have there, it could very well end up putting you in, sometimes like certain things, if you're in begin mode or end mode, the answer could be, a few decimal places different.
Mhm.
So so ultimately for what we're doing here, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just because, if I can see if you're that close, I can kind of tell that you knew what you were doing. But obviously if you're, working in the field and, you'd want to make sure that everything is spot on.
How entailed do you want the Excel sheets to be?
I wouldn't do much more than you've seen on the presentation here.
Okay. So do you want
Yeah.
do you want the question, or but you want like the variables, like R equals, I equals, and then, but you don't
No,
want the
you wouldn't even
question.
have to do. No,
I'm
you
sorry.
wouldn't have to do that much. I would just kind of stick with, what because that would just be more work for you. I would just put, what you used, what numbers you used to come up with, with each part, with each answer.
Okay. Okay. That's good because Excel is not my forte.
You're doing fine. Don't worry.
Excel is not my forte.
All right. So let me stop this recording.